Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance. In this resistance video, sponsored by contribution from Chrissy, and here is her story. Dear Ollie, I've been wanting to email you my story for quite some time. I appreciate your channel and what you do. It has given me insight and closure to my narcissist family. I was born in 1972, the youngest of 5 children. My sister Diane is a year and a half older than Angie, who is 4 years older. My brother Danny is 5 years older. So you're all 4 kids, all within 5 years of each other. Gotcha. And then my last brother, and then my last brother Andy, who is 9 years older. Okay, so 3 years are within 5 years of each other, and then the oldest one is 9 years. So he's 4 years from the oldest. Gotcha. My oldest brother Andy passed away of AIDS in 1988, and honestly, he would be the only family member I would be staying in touch with today if he were alive. He was the only one who was honest and real with no hidden agendas. We were born and raised in Anaheim, California. I lived in Orange County all my life until recently, in which my husband and kids and myself relocated to Nevada. Big reasons were to get away from my family, a fresh start, more affordable living, and moving to a place where the majority of the population are nice. Yep. A lot of people fleeing California for the same reasons people flee New York and New Jersey. Most of my childhood was a blur, but when I think about the decisions I made as a child up to adulthood, it all makes sense. First off, my sisters were mean girls to me. According to my brother Danny, my sister Diane was not happy that she was no longer the baby of the family, so I was pretty much disliked since the day I was born. Her and Angie were bonded since, leaving me the third wheel all my life. They had a song they would sing to me, and it went like this: tag along Chrissy, tag along clap clap. I learned to do my own thing and stay away, as I hated being constantly rejected by them. To this day, I'm feeling abandoned. To this day, if I'm feel I'm being abandoned, I leave right away. A resentment that my older sister Angie had was I was the baby and favored for being the baby, so I could do no wrong. Unfortunately, my mom was verbally and physically abusive toward my sister Angie and took out her anger on her. Oddly, Angie seems to have Stockholm Syndrome today and will always take my mom's side if anyone crosses her. My brother Danny really didn't cause me much my brother Danny really didn't cause me much issues until now, in which he and his wife became the flying monkeys. Most of my childhood was spent hanging out with my neighbor friends. I had this weird habit as well that I would make sure they were my friends, but they couldn't be friends, I had this weird habit as well that I had to make sure they were my friends, but they couldn't be friends with each other, like I had to control the situation. I do not do this today, mind you, but my sisters would continually bring it up. The main reason why I was at a friend's house is because my mom was always yelling at my oldest brother. You see, we came from a Catholic background, and my brother came out as gay, and that just wasn't okay back then. You could hear her screaming and yelling at him or anyone in her path from the street. It was embarrassing. My mom had her own issues not being accepted by my dad's family because she was Catholic and from Poland. They originally lived in Maryland, and my dad decided to pick up and take my mom and the first 3 kids, Diane and I weren't born yet, and flee to California to get away from his family. Pretty much the same thing I did. My sisters continually were mean girls to current day. I have cut my ties multiple times with my family for reasons I will explain. All the times I did, I had no clue about the word narcissism. The first time was when I was getting married. first marriage. I'm not into big traditional weddings, and my parents aren't the type to help financially unless it was their idea. My parents made my life miserable during the planning process, and my anxiety was sky high as I was very uncomfortable being the center of attention. At the end of it all, my fiance and I went to Las Vegas and had a small wedding. My parents not only threatened my siblings that they wouldn't have a place to stay, as my sisters still lived at home, they called my cousins back in Maryland to say not to send me any gifts. Three of my cousins still attended, and my brother Danny showed, but he was there for the groom. My ex-husband was his friend. That was what he said, at least. My sisters didn't show, but they managed to go on a weekend trip out of town with friends. They were on my parents' side and thought I was being dramatic. I ended up getting back together with my parents and sisters a couple years later, and all seemed to be okay at the time. But it didn't take long to have issues again, being that my ex was my brother's friend, and my sister Diane's boyfriend was a co-worker with my ex. It was one big happy family with the sharing of friends. My sister Diane had this competitive thing that she has to be liked the best. Well, I could see why you were hoarding friends. Okay? Because, like, your sisters and your whole family's relationship with each other is almost as like pseudo-incestuous. You even describe it as like, I ended up getting back together with my parents and sister, like it's a relationship. I mean, the way you describe it, it's pseudo-incestuous. Like I would say, it's like pseudo-incestuous. Which would explain you guys hoard each other's friends and boyfriends, and like your brother Danny was the one who was gay, and he's friends with your husband, so your ex-husband, okay, and she's friends with coworkers. The whole thing is incestuous. Like, not necessarily sexually incestuous, but it's I would call it pseudo-incestuous. My sister Diane has this competitive thing that she has to be liked the best. Now, I didn't really get this until later, as I never hung out with her and was the third wheel. You got to understand about the one thing about the third wheel thing when you're kids. Usually you don't want to hang. Now, I understand your other two sisters who were like a little older and closer in age were hanging out as bonded. Okay, there comes a limit where you don't want to hang out with the baby in the family because there's just an age difference. So that's a natural thing too. I mean, I don't know how much you'd want to read into that, the third wheel thing, because my brother used to do the same thing. I mean, we had like a 6-7 year age difference, and when he'd want to hang out with me and my friends, it was, I felt that it was violating. Like, why are you making me hang out with somebody 6 years younger than me? I understand it's not as much of an age difference, but I can kind of understand their mentality as well. Now, I really didn't get this until later, as I never hung out with her, as I was the third wheel. But now we shared the same friends. I think about it today, and I believe she did smear campaigns on me because it made no sense why some of these people were mean to me, and she was always on their side. The few that friended me, she had this way of putting them down behind their back to make me rethink my perspective of them. And since I valued her opinion as my oldest sister, I would believe her. The weird thing was, if I had a fallout with any one of these people, Diane would immediately friend them and become their new pals. It was constant, but I just couldn't figure it out if I was in the wrong. Again, I had no idea about narcissism. Another event that happened while I was married to my ex was my brother would consistently call our house Mark's. I'm sorry. Another event that happened while I was married to my ex was my brother would consistently called our house Mark's house, yet respect every other couple and give the woman credit as well. Being that he was my brother, I found it was so weird that he would say that right to me. Let's go to Mark's house. He would say to me, it was my savings that put the down payment on this house, yet Mark didn't mind taking full credit. He took full credit for a lot of things. He never corrected my brother or his friends, even when I said it really bothered me. So with that being said, I really started to resent my brother for being such a jerk. So this time, my brother was dating a girl from Belgium, and she was not a U.S. citizen. My sister would bash her as she had a falling out with her, and my ex and I started to hang out with my brother and Michelle. Again, as I mentioned before, Diane has a tendency to bash people that I get along with to change my perspective of them. Well, she started spreading this rumor about Danny marrying Michelle to get her green card. She was doing plenty of research and finding out that Michelle was magically not struggling in getting her citizenship overnight and how they got married. Diane kept putting that crap in my head, and when Michelle and I had an argument, I started doing my own research and called the courthouse and found out they were married. Not something I would normally do, but I felt compelled as I was angry. I was even more angry to find out that they got married in Las Vegas because my brother not only was at my wedding just to be supportive of Mark, but he called Vegas weddings white trash. So the fact that they did the same, I had to call them out. Well, when I did, Diane was right there and she acted surprised like she had no idea. Yeah, they set you up. Listen, they set you up to make you the bad guy. Okay, it's very similar to what my brother did to me with this channel. Okay, making it known to my parents, and then he started pearl clutching like, oh my God. And it was all because he had a problem with my father where he got confronted in his house. So what he had to do is cause a problem, have me do something in his name, and then take my father's side on it. That's what they do. That's just what they do. Oh my gosh, she's the one who kept putting these thoughts in my head. I couldn't believe her. Shortly after my fallout with Michelle and my brother, they relocated to Washington as my brother had started a company with a partner. And again, all of this is incestuous, is like this pseudo-incestuous relationship where you're all in relationships with each other and each other's spouses and each other's bullshit. Get out. Magically, my sister was best friends with Michelle and would fly out to see them and constantly talk about how great Michelle and my brother were. I finally told her I didn't want to hang out anymore because I was tired of hearing about it. I felt it was intentional. I did her dirty work, and now she wanted to throw it in my face. Michelle still talks to Diane and hates me, and I have tried to apologize multiple times. One year, she even sent gifts just to my sisters for Christmas, and my mom went out of her way to have them open them in front of me, and they didn't even like the gifts. So years have passed, and I'm now remarried to a much better man. I was back in touch with my family at that time. I was made to believe I was the crazy one to be upset and cut out like I do. I mean, it was me against them. I was outnumbered. Clearly, I had to be the crazy one. My sisters were now getting married themselves, and my parents pulled the same shenanigans on them, making their lives miserable, but they would never admit to me that they understood what I was going through until they want you to step up. Until they want you to step up to the plate for them so they can put that target back on you. Sadly, when my sister Angie was getting married, my dad passed away of a sudden heart attack 2 days before the wedding. I was 7 months pregnant with my second child. She went through the wedding. She went through with the wedding, but a month later, when I had a baby shower, both my sisters told me I was insensitive to my dad's death for having one. They even said I wasn't that close to him like they were. Perhaps they were right. I purposely was not home when I was little just to be far away from my family members. I ended up going no contact after that conversation because I couldn't believe they would think a baby shower was insensitive when Angie got married 2 days after my dad died. The rules don't apply to you. He wasn't even buried yet, but that was okay. They also gave me a hard time for wanting to know the gender of my kids while pregnant, as if that was weird. I know this is a common thing people do, but since I was outnumbered by this, I would question myself. So by the time my second child was 1 year old, I came back around because, as they would say, I was the dramatic one, and I would believe it. Perhaps I needed to just lighten up. So with that said, I would just try to blend in at the family gatherings and not say anything until I was home and complain to my poor husband who couldn't understand my family as he didn't have that with his own. It was hard to explain feelings as I sounded insensitive and no one could understand what I was going through because they had regular families. Fast forward, my sister Diane married a guy just like her, and family gatherings were normally at their home. I never really liked her husband Matt because he thinks he's better than everyone, and now Diane adopted the same habit. Anything I was excited about, they would roast me at family gatherings and make fun of me about it. There was no shame in their game. The final time I cut ties with them was 2 years ago. It all started out innocently. My oldest daughter had a play at her school, and I let everyone know. Of course, they didn't attend, but I said I would capture her on video and post a private link on YouTube. My daughter was playing a role in which she had to look messy and dirty. I say this because it plays a part in the next part. I was talking to my oldest sister Angie about our mom and how she drives everyone nuts, as usual, and Angie strayed from that subject to talk to me about the YouTube video I had sent her. Not sure if she was just unaware about it being in character, but she proceeded to tell me that my daughter looked like shit and needs to comb her hair and wash her face. Now, mind you, Angie has this comfort zone that she feels it's okay to tell me what she's really thinking. And she's always had an issue with my oldest kid. She has Asperger's, so there are times she can be socially awkward and get irritated easily. With this said, Angie has always kept her two boys from ever playing or being near her. There is a 5-year gap between my oldest and her oldest son, if that matters. Anyway, I didn't say anything after her comment, but was rather pissed about it and hung up. Why wouldn't you say something? Say she was in character. I couldn't believe she had the nerve to be such a jerk. Since her and Diane tend to team up, and I know they talk about me all the time, I felt I had a connection with my brother's wife and thought I could vent to her since her and Angie weren't that close. Well, that was a huge mistake. My brother's wife told him and immediately told Diane, who told Angie. I had no intentions on doing anything. I just wanted to vent and get over it. As I said before, I was just trying to stay on the down low and cause no problems with them. Well, Angie was mad at me for being mad at her, and I'm guessing especially for talking about it with my brother's wife. So she ignored me for a year. I saw her on Christmas, but she acted like I didn't exist. I left it as is. Wasn't worth the effort, really. But as the months went by, birthdays passed, and I thought it would be nice to extend an olive branch and wish her kids a happy birthday and send her a gift, because you never learn, Chrissy. You never learn. And you keep trying to find this person that's going to be on your side, and they just keep turning on you. Nobody's on your side. Nobody's on your side. Nobody's going to side with you to go against the narcissist. No one. She responded pleasantly and did the same back to my kids. There was even one event that disappointed me, though, that Diane said by accident. My brother had invited Diane to a concert in Los Angeles. He didn't invite Angie, though, as they don't get along that well. Anyway, on our way to the concert, Diane was saying how bad she felt that Angie wasn't invited and how Danny was calling her at Angie's son's birthday party to discuss the concert. Stop. Wait. So Angie has a birthday party for her son where Diane, her husband, and my mom went, but I and my family wasn't invited to, and this was okay. But God forbid Angie was left out of a concert we were going to. Wow, I didn't say anything. I tried to stay on the down low still and take the high road. I even sent birthday invites for my kid's birthday to both my sisters just to keep the peace. Angie never attended. I thought everything was okay, so this took me by surprise. A week later, out of nowhere, I got a text from Angie telling me that with the holidays approaching again, she was tired of me playing the victim and never apologizing for the things I've done. What? I was surprised, as I thought we were good now. I asked why she is rehashing this again, and she said it's been brought up. My guess, Diane, as Diane likes to be liked the most. She has this way of making everyone do her dirty work while she looks like the innocent one. That pissed me off. That was it. I told Angie I was tired of their double standards, that it's okay for them to pull their crap on me, but I'm not allowed to stick up for myself or vent to someone. 2 days later, my sister Diane texts me saying to act like all is well and what's the plan for Thanksgiving. For real? Hell no. At this point, I knew Diane caused this with Angie just to make sure everyone was fighting, but she was looking pretty. Hell no, I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid again. So I told her off and said I was going to Steve's side of the family this year. That was the last time I talked to her. 2 weeks later, Diane wrote an email including everyone in the family acting like she didn't understand why I'm acting this way and how I need to seek therapy. I didn't respond. I still talk to my mom at this time, but my mom likes to create drama by telling me what is being said or how my sisters are doing things together, like camping, going to theme parks, etc. These women are never going to accept you, and nobody's going to take your side. Not your mother, not your sister, not any of your spouses, not your brothers, not their spouses. No one is taking your side against the narcissist. Since we were tired of living in Orange County and dealing with this plus other things as well, we put our place up for sale and moved to Nevada without telling my mom or sisters. I was still talking to my brother and his wife as I thought they understood my side, but unfortunately my brother drank the Kool-Aid too. I'm so naive. I honestly trusted both of them, but I soon realized they were flying monkeys and reporting everything we spoke about back to my sisters and mom. I was really disappointed, but I decided to go no contact with all of them after my last phone call with my brother where, as usual, he started talking about Diane as he goes out to California to visit when he's in town for work. Of course, Diane is doing the smear campaign and telling him that I'm keeping her sons from my kids. All is a bunch of crap, but Danny is believing it. Both my sister's kids hardly know us or my kids because we aren't ever included in their plans unless it's Thanksgiving or Christmas. And Thanksgiving, we switch to my in-laws every other year. And they only do that so they can ruin your holiday. Understand, they only want you at Thanksgiving and Christmas so they can ruin them for you, so you can't have a nice one without them. See, what you're going to have to understand is they are going to invite you to only the events they can ruin for you. And they're going to exclude you from everything else. That's your life. That's your life. The narcissist is only going to invite you to events they can ruin for you and exclude you from everything else. I'm glad it's finally gotten through your head. I've tried in the past to hang out with them as we all lived in Orange County, but there's always an excuse. Their kids treated us like strangers, and I'm not the type to force a kid to like me, so I just kept my respectable distance. So funny that my sister Diane says that her son misses us. He doesn't even know us. The other thing she is doing is kissing my cousin's ass, whom she never gave the time of day to when she lived near us. But like the past, she asked to be liked more than this cousin took to me over my sisters, which is surprising to them. I even predicted and told my cousin that when she comes to see me in Nevada, and if Diane finds out, she will reach out to her. Sure enough, when my cousin posted that she was flying to Las Vegas, my sister, who never posts on her Facebook, posted, "I'm only 4 hours away. I can come out and party with you." Thankfully, my cousin knows better. She did not drink the Kool-Aid. So this is what I've been dealing with all my life. Two mean girl sisters who've always leave me out and have double standards, and a mother who likes to stir the pot and keep the chaos going, but acts like she doesn't remember. The brother who is a flying monkey and enjoys a good drama story. A dad who passed away that apparently I was never close with, according to my sisters, and an older brother who passed away that I would have stayed in contact with today. You don't know that. You don't know that. Going no contact has been the best thing. Diane tried to reach out to my kids. She never talks to them until now, magically. She wrote, "Your Aunt Diane loves you and she will be there for you no matter what," because she's trying to destroy your happiness. Which is why they only contact you to destroy you, to hurt you. Now I know about narcissism, I can predict her crap. I just wish others would see what I've been dealing with. She's very good at fooling people. Without me as their cat toy to bat around, I'm sure they'll go after each other eventually, and I just won't be there to witness it. Chrissy. And when that happens is when these flying monkeys are going to say, you were always right, and then they're going to tell you everything you've always wanted to hear. And they're only telling you that so they can put the target, so they can draw you in and put the target back on you. You have to understand, the only thing that your narcissistic family, that the narcissist invites you to, is events they can ruin. They will exclude you from everything else. And that's just the way it is. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your contribution and your story, Chrissy. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like a private video made, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it growing, supported, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.